Welcome guys to peacarma stitches. Today we're going to be making this beautiful ball dress you saw on the thumbnail, and I have half yard of lining, 1 yard of satin fabric, and then I have over 15 yards of net, two net, soft net. Okay, but I actually didn't exhaust all. I used like 13 yards, so let's get right into cutting. So I have my satin, I folded it into four, okay? Like you're cutting out a full flay, okay? Ensure on the sides here, on the length, you have the full length of your ball dress, okay? Plus your radius, okay? That's the round waist divided by 6.28. That's the formula for a 360-degree flay. Now at this angle here, you're going to be marking the radius you got. So for me, the radius I got for my baby is 4.5 inches. So I'm going to mark that 4.5 inches round. So add your radius plus the full length of the ball dress. That's what will guide you on what to fold, okay, into four. At the folded part, not the open part, that's where you mark your radius round, okay? So I'll take this round. Now from this my radius line, I'm going to take the full length. Now the full length of this ball dress, the lower part, is 16 inches. You're not going to be adding the upper part, okay? The upper part, you're going to subtract your upper part from your lower part. Let's say the full length is 30, the top part is 10 inches. Now what you're going to be marking at this lower part should be 20 inches. I hope you understand. So I'm only marking the lower part. So from this my radius line, I'm going to be marking round. This my radius line is now a guide for me, okay? So just follow the line, mark it round several times. Just take your time and mark round for accuracy. Okay, now for this ball dress, if you don't have enough tool, you can always use a 180-degree flay. If you want a tutorial on that, you can always notify me in the comments section, okay? But I'm using a full flay because I want it to be really full. So just mark it round until you get to the other edge. Like I said, I used 13 yards of tool for this ball dress. So if you want yours longer, then maybe you should go for 25. It depends on the length, okay? So go ahead and cut out the lower part, the full length of your um, flay. Just follow what I'm doing. Follow the line that you marked earlier, okay? Go ahead and cut, and then you're going to cut out the radius part, which is the waist round. Now this waist round is not just the baby's waist, you're going to be adding plus 2 inches for zipper allowance, okay? So whatever the baby's round waist is, you're going to add 2 inches, okay? That's for zipper allowance on both sides. So after cutting this, I'm going to go ahead and cut the same thing on my lining, okay? I'm going to duplicate the same thing, fold it into four, and go ahead to cut out the exact same thing. Just make sure it's well aligned. So go ahead and cut the exact same thing. Make sure everything is well aligned. Now if you don't want to use a flay, you can cut it long so you can add pleats, but this full flay is going to give me enough fullness, so I don't need to pleat. But just in case you have excess, you can just pleat in a little, okay? So go ahead and cut out the exact same thing like you see me do here right now. So when you're done, this is the result you're going to have. Now you will need to reduce the length of the lining because the lining doesn't need to be showing at the front side, okay? So at least minimum of 1.5 inches, okay? So I'm going to reduce the length of the lining so it doesn't show in front. That's the essence, okay? I'm going to be marking 2 inches and then I'll cut it out. So mark 2 inches and reduce the length, or you can just mark all over again and reduce the length, but this works easier and better for me, okay? But if you're managing your fabric, go ahead and mark the radius and the length all over and remove minimum 2 inches. Ensure the length is aligned, okay? Go ahead and cut it out. So this is what you have, and when you lay this on the satin, okay, let's say this is the main fabric, and you see what you're going to have. So there's no way the lining will be poking out. Go ahead and open up one side, and this part will serve as a zipper allowance. This opening will be at the back, okay? So cut it open for both the front and the back. Can you see the fullness we have? This is the effect we want. So if you're doing this kind of full flay, you need enough tool, okay? So go ahead and open it up like you see me do. And when you open this completely, can you see the fullness? Okay? You don't need to gather or pleat. Okay, so we're going to cut out our net now. I've gone ahead to fold it. Okay, fold it so that you can cut out together. I'm going to be marking 3 inches. Okay, that's the length of the two we're going to be pleating or gathering on a satin fabric. So I'm marking 3 inches all the way down. Now first I cut out 6 yards of tulle and folded it, okay, by the length, okay, lengthwise, so I can get that long strip. So when I pick one, I have more than enough. If I need to join, I'll still join it. I hope you understand what I mean. So I cut out 6 yards first and I pleated. It wasn't enough. I had to cut out some more. But if you can fold the complete 15 yards at once to cut out in bulk, you can go ahead and do that. Since I didn't have any assistance, I just had to work with wisdom. Okay, so I'm marking, but ensure the length is 3 inches. You want yours shorter, minimum it should be 2.5 so it doesn't look too small. Okay, if you want to achieve the fullness you're going to be seeing in mine and the length, the beauty, okay, please give me another word. Okay, so just go ahead and use 3 inches. For me, 3 inches is just fine. So I'm marking 3 inches all the way. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out. Listen, if you watched up to this point and you've not liked, God bless you as you do and as you subscribe. So I'm marking it several times to ensure my line is straight and it's accurate. I'm taking my time to do this so you can understand. So I've gone ahead to cut out some. I'm just going to show you guys how I went ahead with the cutting. Okay, just go ahead and cut the 3 inches mark that you made. Cut it, keep it aside, and continue cutting. Sorry, I guess the reflection of the sun from where I'm cutting, it's not allowing you guys to see the chalk mark so well, but just go ahead and mark 3 inches. So just go ahead and cut. I just had to show us this part, how I do the cutting. So if you've watched up to this point without liking, thank you for liking and subscribing. God bless you. So when you're done cutting all of this, you're going to bring in your satin. Can you see what I have hit there? And it still wasn't enough. I had to cut some more. So you can imagine if you're working with a longer length, you need to get more tool. Okay, that was what I meant. So you're going to pick one of the two. If you want to double it, you can go ahead and double it. But I used one strand of two per line. Okay, so pick it and you're going to stitch at the center of this your two, meaning 1.5. Okay, at the center. So you're going to go ahead and pleat, make little pleats at the center as you stitch. Okay, you can make gathers, okay, join them together, but I didn't want to go through that route. But if you can make gathers at the center and pull it before attaching line by line, you can do that. But I stitched directly on my satin and I made tiny pleats while stitching at the center. I hope you understand. So bring in your satin, okay, your fabric. Now you're going to leave minimum half of an inch or 1 inch at the lower part for hemming, because you're going to be hemming this, okay, before you start your pleat. Now at the beginning, you're going to leave 1 inch too. You don't start pleating from the zipper allowance line. Can you see what I'm doing? Make tiny pleats and sew at the center. I had to make these two lines to show us a sample of what I've done so far before I continue. Okay, so I went ahead to leave, like I said you should. Okay, leave 1 inch. I left 1 inch at the lower part for hemming. Okay, can you see? And then I left 1 inch at the sides. Okay, I didn't start from the zipper line to pleat. Okay, and then after making the first line, you need to leave minimum half of an inch in between. Okay, you don't need to leave up to 1 inch. Okay, so the gap won't be so obvious. So make sure you leave that space round before you stitch the next one. When you want to stitch the next one, pull off all the excess net to the lower part so you can sew. So just follow, and this is what you will have. Can you see what we have here, guys? Sorry, the camera is not giving justice to this. It has completely changed the color of the fabric. Okay, sorry, it's not giving what it's supposed to be giving, but this is beautiful. Can you see what we have? And at the top part, ensure you leave half of an inch as well. Can you see the fullness and the beauty? Can you see what the 360, the full flare is giving to us? Can you see the fullness? Can you see the fullness? This is so beautiful. Okay, so when you put this together, this will give you enough fullness. This is 5,000 days later. Okay, so go ahead and cut the upper part. For the upper part, this is the chantilly I'm going to be using. Okay, for the upper part, I'm going to go ahead and fold. I folded out what I need. Okay, so I'm gonna head to mark the shoulder of my baby. Divided by 2 is 4.5. I added half of an inch to that since we're going to be attaching a sleeve. And then the neck width, I'm marking out 2.5. This dress is for a 5-year-old, okay? But a 4-year-old can still rock this measurement. Then at the shoulder line, I'm going to be coming down by 0.75, okay? So go ahead and connect the slanted line to the neck depth, okay, the neck width. So from that your shoulder line, I'm going to mark shoulder to bust of my baby, which is the same thing as the chest line. And then the full length of the half length is 10 inches. I'm going to be adding half of an inch to that, okay? So meaning my baby's shoulder to waist is 10 inches, and I'm adding half of an inch to that for joining allowance to the lower part. So at the chest line, I'm going to be marking the same thing I had at the shoulder, which is 5 inches, and then I'll go ahead and connect this into a straight line. From the shoulder slant, I'll get the midpoint, which is 2.5. I'll come inwards by half of an inch, okay? And then the next thing, I'm going to be marking the round chest of my baby, which is 6 inches, and I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Now the chest line and the waist of my baby is the same measurement, so that's why I connected it into a straight line. Then I'll go ahead and slant the armhole cuff straight from the shoulder to the half inch and to the allowance. Now for the neck, I'm using 2.75 for the neck depth for the front, okay? I'll connect it to the 2.5 that we marked earlier. It's a round neck, so just curve it out nicely. And that's it. It's as simple as that. So go ahead and cut it out. Cut, cut, cut. Cut out the armhole. Please kindly like and subscribe. Okay, this dress we're making, I'm going to be making the mom's on, which is mine. There are two different outfits we're using for a wedding, both traditional and white wedding. So watch out before the end of this week. Okay, a tutorial is going to be coming up. So kindly subscribe for more interesting and trendy style tutorials. Okay. So go ahead and lay it on the one you're going to be using for the back piece, but ensure to leave minimum 1 inch for your zipper allowance. But ensure the sides, every other part is the same except your zipper line. Can you see? Then go ahead and cut out. So kindly subscribe. I'm going to be dropping two different tutorials before the end of this week for the outfits we're going to be rocking. So subscribe. Thank you. You can subscribe now. Touch that subscribe button. It's absolutely free. Thank you. So I'm adding half of an inch at the shoulder for shoulder joining. Now for the back neck, I'm cutting out 1 inch. Okay? I'm using 1 inch for the back neck depth. Can you see what we have there? Good. So uh is 1 inch for now. I'm going to do some alterations, but I needed that guide. So go ahead now and lift the front piece and cut out the front neck depth, just the front part, please. Okay, so we'll separate both front and back. Mark your zipper allowance line, very important. Okay, you need to note the line. Then go ahead and separate your front piece. Can you see what we have? Sorry, because of the reflection of the sun, uh, it's not really clear. I'm so sorry, guys. I'll try to do better. Okay, so from this neck depth, remember we took out 1 inch earlier. So if you add that 1 inch to this 5 inch I'm marking, meaning I came down by 6 inches for the neck depth for the back. That's how deep I want it to be. So you can curve this round. If you want a round shape, you can form a love shape, you can form a square shape, whatever shape you want to create with it. You can play around with your designs. So for me, I'm going to be creating a round shape. Okay, you can come out from the zipper allowance line by half of an inch. Okay, so that will be for the turning of the neckline as sewing allowance. Okay, if you want to, but I connected it to the zipper allowance line, and you watch out how I cut it. Okay, so I did mine round. You can go ahead and do a V shape, a love shape, a round shape, whatever shape you want to use. Okay, so go ahead and cut it out. So can you see what we have? So open up your zipper allowance line, okay? And make sure you notch so you don't misuse it, or sorry, so you don't mistake it as your armhole, okay? Notch so you know that this is your zipper allowance line. So when you open this up and you take in your zipper allowance, this is what you have. So I'll go ahead and cut the same thing on my lace and on the satin. So this is what I have, okay, for the front, and for the back I've cut it out. Now kindly note, I'm using the satin as the lining for the upper piece, because the lining for the lower piece I exhausted it, okay. So I'm using the same satin, okay, as the lining for the upper parts. So this is what I have left from my half yard of chantilly. So this is what we use for the sleeve. So fold it into two, and we're going to separate it. So we'll have one for each, for one sleeve and one for the other sleeve. So when I measured what I had left, I think I had about 28 inches. So that will be enough to give me some pleats, because we're going to be pleating and attaching elastic to the lower part to give us that puffy effect. So go ahead and separate it into two, okay. I'm cutting it into two. So go ahead and separate this into two. So when we fold it together, we're going to have two different sleeves. Can you see what I have here? So I'm going to go ahead and fold it into two. Can you see? So this is on a fold of four. Sorry. So go ahead and mark out your sleeve. Since it's going to be a puffy sleeve, we're going to be pleating the upper part and attaching elastic to the lower part. So it's not really, we're not going to do much. Just come down by 3 inches at the open part and slant your armhole, okay. If you want a detailed tutorial on a sleeve, just let me know in the comments, okay. Go ahead and curve out your sleeve and go ahead and cut out. So we're going to be pleating the upper part, and for the lower part you're just going to fold it twice, okay, in order to attach your elastic. Now for the top part, okay, so for the upper part I'm going to, remember we have four of these satin, because we're using it for the lining as well. So you're going to be placing your chantilly right sides facing each other. You're going to make them marry each other, okay. Sew them up round at the armhole, at the sides round. Let them become one. You can go ahead and use your hemming gum to iron them to become one, but I'm going to sew round, okay. And then one part will be for aligning. So after sewing everything together, this is what I have. This is for the front. Can you see? Just sew them up, stitch them directly. We're going to use the lining to turn everything out. And I did same for the back pieces. So I'm going to bring in my lining, which is the same satin. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and lay them together. You're going to sew the neckline first, sew around the neckline, notch and top stitch, then go ahead and sew the two sides. Okay, you're not going to sew up the armhole and the shoulder, leave that part. And then we're going to do same for the back. Sew the neckline, the zipper and the side, leave the armhole and the shoulder part open. Okay, so I'll go ahead and stitch this and iron this and show us what we have. So for the sleeve, I'm going to show us what to do with one. Okay, you're going to fold in 1/4 of an inch and fold in 1/2 of an inch and stitch all the way. That's where we're going to be passing in our elastic. That's the lower part of the sleeve. So you're going to measure the round sleeve of your baby and add 1 inch to that for sewing, okay. So I had 7 inches. I added 1 inch to this, okay? Cut out 8 inches. So I'm going to cut two of these, one for one sleeve, one for the other sleeve. So after hemming, you're going to use your safety pin to fasten the elastic at the lower part while we gather the upper part to the sleeve. I hope you understand. Okay, to get that puffy effect. After turning with your lining, putting everything together, you're going to attach your sleeve to it. So this is what I had. Okay, I had gone ahead to join the shoulder. Sorry, I didn't show us that part. I've shown us severally on this channel how to turn your shoulders neatly. Okay, so we've gone ahead to shape the upper part. Can you see? Our upper part is ready. You're going to open up your seam line and iron it out, shape to your baby's measurement. Just join the shoulder, attach your sleeve and shape the sides. Now we had cut out the lining. I attached the net. Since the lower part is already bulky, I didn't want to attach so much net so it's not weighty on the baby. So at the top, come down from 1.5 before you start doing your box split. Now to have fullness, I advise you use a box split on your tool and thank me later. Okay? And on the sides, leave 1 inch as well. Okay? Don't start attaching your hard net on the sides. So we're going to go ahead and notch the midpoint of your fillet, the lower part, and notch the midpoint of the upper part. We're going to be attaching from the center to the side and from the center to the other side. So if you watched up to this point and you're not like Mbok, like, God bless you. Okay, so go ahead and attach it. Please, when attaching, stitch directly on the tool, quarter of an inch on the tool, not on the half-inch allowance you left. Okay, on the tool, quarter of an inch. So after attaching this is what we have. Oh my God, the camera is not giving justice to this beauty. It's just switching the color of the tool from the upper part, but this is so beautiful and perfect. Please give this video a thumbs up. Can you see this beauty? So if you sew quarter of an inch on the tool, there won't be any gap or space in between. So I'm going to show us how to turn the waistline neatly. Never mind the differences in the color. Remember, we use satin for the top part and lining for the lower part. So the colors are kind of different. So you're going to be sandwiching the top part of the top in between the lining and the fillet. Just watch what I'm doing. Right sides facing the wrong side of the top, and then let the top part be in between and you sew up. When you're done sewing, sew up the sides, align the sides of the lining and the sides of the lower part and stitch them together to where the lining stops. Do same to the other part before we flip it over. So when I'm done stitching these three pieces together, this is what we have. Now any excess of fraying that you have, I'm still going to weave everything, okay? And I'm still going to hem it. Just go ahead and trim any form of fraying. Can you see I joined the lining with the satin together on the sides because we want that zipper line to come out neat and beautiful. You will see the outcome. Now trim out this other part as well, and then when we flip this over, you're going to see how beautiful it comes out. Please kindly give this video a thumbs up. So when you flip it over at the zipper area, can you see what we have? So see how neat the sides is, okay? Can you see the inside? I'll go ahead and turn the other side as well. And can you see what we have? You can go ahead and iron this out for it to lay flat from the lining, please, not on the tool. Can you see the fullness and how neat the inside is? Don't mind the difference in the color. The lining for the lower part wasn't enough, so we used satin to line the upper part. Okay, so go ahead and flip them over. This is so beautiful. Sorry, I couldn't get a photo from my baby. But trust me, this came out perfect and people loved it. Okay, so go ahead and flip it, ensure the waistlines align. Okay, go ahead and make sure the waistline is well aligned, and then you're going to go ahead and join the lower part, but measure the full length of your zipper, the length of your zipper, not the full length, because it mustn't be long. Okay, fix in your zipper at the upper part and close the lower part. Now from where my neck is, I'm going to measure down 8 inches. Okay, and from that 8 inch, I'm going to join, close the lower part with 1 inch all the way to the hem, to the net. Okay, go ahead and iron this so it will be easier for you to flip it over. So sew it down and attach your zipper to the upper parts. So this is what I have. This is so nice. This is beautiful. I love this dress, okay? Okay, can you see the fullness, how bulky it is? I've attached my zipper to this, and this is so beautiful. Please kindly like, subscribe, and give this video a thumbs up. I attached a bow to the back of this dress. Thank you guys. Till I see you next time. Bye bye.